off like flower do. Sure, I know that your stem has a.
Welcome to the special edition of I'm Effie Bar.
Cancel a holiday to America for my mom's birthday because I was too fearful of leaving and whether or not I'd be able to get back. I would like to vote here. So that and the fact that my sons are British.
Yeah.
I'm a taxpayer. I've been a taxpayer in the UK for nearly 20 years. I want to have a say in what's happening politically here.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want the Conservatives to get back in power for another term. I think for Americans relocating, you've really got to do your research. If your ability to do laundry easily is important to you, then maybe consider not moving.
Welcome back. You mentioned about the process earlier that you were in France before and you got married and you worked there. So I was thinking about the immigration process. Did you ever really
Yeah.
had a problem at all? And in general, what do you think? What do you think of the immigration process?
Well, I know it's changed a lot in the time that I've lived here, and it's gotten much more difficult, not easier. I was getting grilled on my ILR was in an old passport, so whenever I came in, I had to bring my new passport and my old passport, and that was definitely like immigration were not happy with that. So then I somehow lost both those passports, so I had to sort out my biometric residence permit, and that was very stressful. I have to say, it gave me a little insight. It was very stressful. I had to cancel a holiday to America for my mom's birthday because I was too fearful of leaving and whether or not I'd be able to get back in. And I was a homeowner already here by that stage, and my job's here and everything. So I just had to say, sorry, I'm really sorry, but I can't go until we get this sorted out. And then because I have had my ILR for a long time and haven't applied for a British passport, then I sent some documentation off, it got lost, it got to the wrong place. So in the end, at the time, I just paid to go to, they had some quick processing centers and there was one in Sheffield. So I just paid and went there quickly and got it done in the day, and then felt very relieved.
Right.
So
Was it
the new
expensive
passport,
to get your
it was
ILR?
£500. I think it was £500 at the time, which did seem expensive. And so my passport and my indefinite leave to remain are both in my old married name, which
Okay.
is a constant irritation for my current husband because everything else is in Breen. So that passport expires in 2025. So I'll renew that in my new married name, and then I'll go through the process, whatever that is, of updating my biometric residence permit, and then probably when that's done, then I'll think about getting my British citizenship because I don't think I'm ever going home, and my sons have dual citizenship, so it seems sensible that
Yeah.
one of their parents should have the same. And it's going to be easier for me to get my British. Jason's not going to be able to get an American passport. He's never lived in the States, so yeah, these are all of these funny, strange factors that you have to think about. Jason talks about getting them their Irish passports as well, and I'm like, 2 passports is already enough to keep on top of keeping
Yeah.
in date. I mean, I'm not signing up to a third nationality. Sorry, but
The citizenship, I was talking to one of the guests as well that it's important that you should apply it now because then the fees will change later and maybe the rules might change as well.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
But I think I have to. I don't think I could, in my heart of hearts. I don't like not being a voter here. I have to say, I still vote in Texas, which it's a Republican state. It's kind of a wasted vote, but I still do it because it's important. But I would like to vote here. So that and the fact that my sons are British, half British.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, exactly.
that those two factors are will be what make me change. There's a civic duty part of it.
Yeah.
I'm a taxpayer. I've been a taxpayer in the UK for nearly 20 years. I live here. I see things going on, and I think I want to have a say in what's happening politically here.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want the Conservatives to get back in power for another term. I think that would be terrible for everyone.
They've been there for long.
They've clearly broken the country. They've unpicked loads of things. When I first moved to the UK, I felt really proud to live in a country where no one was homeless. Right, there was no homeless people on the street. There were homeless people, but they were there were places for people to live, and now we are in a situation where that is not
Mm.
the case. And
I feel like you should be in California and not in Texas.
yeah,
It's like a blue state.
yeah, I so that really saddens me. um
Mm.
and it saddens me that other people that are around me don't necessarily see that, you know, disinvestment is not, it's going to have a knock-on effect, and now it's having the knock-on effect, and it's it's corresponding with the cost of living crisis and everything going up, and it being much more difficult for families. And I you know
Mm.
I feel like we could have seen this coming and prevented it in some way, but
Right.
we can't go back and change the past. So, what can we do now to make the future better?
Exactly. Yeah.
And Texas is a hard place to live if you feel that way, because Texas is a low tax state, and so it attracts investment from the states that are around. So the place that you feel the disinvestment, because Texas is attracting all of the investment, is Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, all the surrounding states. They have their they are much poorer economies than
Right.
Texas because
They're
of
smaller as well.
they're smaller as well, but also they just, companies that could set up in Arkansas or Louisiana are like, well, should we set up here or should we set up in Texas where we don't have to pay any,
That's true.
you know, and so that's what happens. And
Yeah.
that means that then those jobs aren't there for those communities, and
Mm.
that's a shame. So when you're in Texas, it feels like, oh yeah, this is great, this is working for us. But it's that, it's very selfish, very Texan point
Yeah.
of view to not realize that that strategy is actually impoverishing the region as a whole. And that is that kind of, it's not every man out for himself, right? That's not
Hmm.
how humans are.
Exactly.
I mean,
I agree.
there are plenty of humans that think in that way, but that is not how humanity has gotten to be to where it is. It's by working together that
True.
that's happened.
Yeah.
Um,
What are your favorite thing about UK life and your least favorite here?
uh, okay, well, my least favorite, that's really easy. So my favorite thing, that's hard. Um, okay, I know my favorite thing.
Okay.
My favorite thing about the UK, I'm a wild swimmer, so I swim in a reservoir um, near, or the river
Mm.
near to where I live, and I love that. And I'm lucky enough to live in a place where I know the water quality of that river above Ilkley is very clean and safe, and this reservoir is very clean and safe. So I have multiple clean and safe places to swim. I could never swim in a river in Texas because, it would be full of chemicals. It would be, yeah. So that's my favorite thing about living in where I live. Uh, that even though it's not perfect, right? And there is
Mhm.
a lot of sewage getting pumped into rivers and coastlines. There are still places that are clean to swim. So that's my favorite thing. My least favorite thing is definitely apologizing for unnecessary things. And the moment I start to do that, the moment I apologize for existing, or I apologize for something completely ridiculous, then that's what I'll be thinking. Maybe I've been in this country too long.
Yeah. And for anyone, that's the tail end of our interview. And
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, what are your suggestions to women, mostly women, because to me, a lot of changes for women, especially if they start a new life here and have a family. Whereas for a man, there's just different um, adjustments for them. But if you have any suggestions to women who are struggling here,
Yes. So,
and
so
for all Americans in general who are thinking of
okay.
relocating here.
I think for Americans relocating, you've really got to do your research and have your eyes wide open, because, if your washer dryer is really important to you, then, if your ability to do laundry easily is important to you, then maybe consider not moving. um, if you really like being around other cultures and having quick access to going to exciting places in Europe, then do your research and consider it. That's for Americans. For women, I think, and I would credit my time that I spent in France for this. You do have to make an effort to make friends, and you do have to make an effort. You do have to understand that you are going to be other, and there are going to be groups of people that have known each other since they were 5 or 6 years old, or since they were all in university together, or whatever. And to not be a, that's going to happen. You're going to find that, but you're so not to be afraid to kind of enter into those friendship groups, but you have to make the effort, and you have to. I think British people are really good at. It's really easy to make links with other British people if you have shared interests. So wild swimming, an art class,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, wine tasting. I'm trying to think of a variety of things that aren't just things that I've tried. Um, there are things, but Brits can, like, that is one way, learning something new or having a shared interest in football or rugby or whatever. That really is something that crosses those cultural barriers and those class barriers. And so that's what I think Americans sometimes miss the trick, that they expect to make friends with their kids, the other parents in their kids' school or something. And
Exactly.
that
Mm-hmm. I heard
and
that.
that hasn't been my experience. I am a decade older than most of the other parents of my 5, nearly 6 years old is in year one this year, first grade. And nearly all of the other parents, I mean, there's other international parents, but pretty much all of them are 25 or 30, not 45.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, that has not been a source of friendships for me. But there are other groups other groups of people that I know from my other interests, and those are really strong friendship groups. And, it's important to build those networks, because if something terrible happens, like your baby dies, or you get cancer, or
Yeah.
I don't know, you need some support networks of people that you feel like you can trust and rely on and ask for help. And the same for them. And sometimes it might be an expat community, it might be other people who are maybe not just American, but from other countries that,
True.
um, yeah, but that's important. It's important because, we're all getting older. The world is not a safe place. We might,
Yeah.
between Ukraine and Israel, Gaza, like, seems like
Yeah.
we're going to be in World War III anytime now.
That's
Um,
why.
and the pandemic has really made us realize that
Yeah.
actually there are factors happening over there which can really
Yes.
affect us here,
Very true.
and affect the States as well, but maybe in a different way. And it is hard to fit in. And
Yes, it is.
that
Yeah.
is what something no one tells you. Like, if you decide to live outside of your country, you'll never fit in there. And you'll
Mm.
never really fit in where you came from again, because, like, I will never fit in Texas in the same way that I would have done, pre
Mm.
2000. I
Yeah.
just, I won't. There'll always be a hint of something English in my, or
Yeah.
Irish, because there are some things I say which I have picked up
Yeah.
from my Northern
Mm.
Irish husband. Um, so yeah, everyone is a different, but there are people who are from a place and have never moved from their place. This is what I've realized. And
Right.
they feel that way as well. They also feel like they don't
True.
belong. They find some way of thinking, well, I'm other because of this, because my parents didn't stay together, or my dad had this job, and my dad was a street cleaner or whatever, and all of my other friends, all, their parents did different things. And that is, we're all the same, really. We're all the same. And if we're all the same in the human condition, I
Right.
guess. And all of the differences that we have are really should be embraced, right? We shouldn't all want to be the same. We shouldn't all want to be from the same country. Shouldn't all want to speak the same language, English. Because there are some things that in other languages, other cultures describe much better than us. Let's
Very
just be
true.
honest.
Mm.
English has its limitations.
Yeah.
And so the differences are really a strong point. And
Mm. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you
on
so
that
much. I got 2 minutes left here. Thank you so much for your time, Kate. I really appreciate it. And not only that, you've given me a different perspective of an American who lived here, and it could be a good thing. It's a positive note that I hope that our listeners can get something and learn something from your story. And you seem to be assimilated here already, and hopefully soon you'll be a British citizen. You'll have two passports. Yeah. And thank you so much, and good luck to everything else that you wanted to do here in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you, Effie. Yep.
Bye. That's all for today. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in and for staying with me for this 2 hour show. Till next Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., only here on Love the Beat Radio, LDBR. For stories and suggestions, please email me at effiebarker@gmail.com. And please don't forget to follow and subscribe me on Facebook, Instagram, X, SoundCloud, Spotify, and my YouTube channel, Effie Barker.